some of you may know who Tectone is. Tectone's kind of a big dog in the streaming space now. He's took a step back for a while. And in this video, it looks like he's giving a little bit of explanation to it. I've been following Tectone for a while. He's as genuine and like he's just gonna tell you what he's thinking. He's not playing like he plays himself up. Most streamers do, I feel like, but he's not acting like not himself, if that makes sense. He's pretty blunt about everything, and he's pretty just like him, which is always respectable. Sometimes a little controversial, sure, but we're gonna watch this video and see what he has to say.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I just kind of wanted to make a video kind of just talking about what's going on in my head. And I think what I'm about to say is going to be very relatable to a lot of people because I've kind of been talking about this to some of my friends lately. And
what? You own thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Just go grab a camera real quick, brother. I'm just saying. I understand you wanted to do this on a whim. Brother, just grab a camera. Anyways, no hate. I'm just saying.
They say that they kind of have a similar experience and they kind of want to give this a shot with me. But I was actually going to do a very off-brand video for me, but I was kind of going to tell you guys why I kind of gave up on religion when I was a child and why I'm open to giving it another shot today. Obviously, it's been about 8 to 9 days since Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
I think that I know where this is going to go. I feel like that assassination was a catalyst for so many people. It was an actual martyrdom. Straight up what it was a martyrdom. Whether you agree with him or not, you can't deny it was, dude, it wasn't by definition a martyr. Crazy.
And I'm not moving past this. It's not something that I don't think I'm going to be able to, move on from quite quickly, because the reason why Charlie Kirk's assassination was so fucked was that he truly was killed for just holding the same beliefs as our grandparents once held. And I have to believe that if they're going to go out of their way to assassinate somebody, that they were probably saying something that they didn't want anybody hearing. And Charlie Kirk was a very religious man. He was a man of faith, and he will be remembered for being a man of faith. And I would like to go on record saying, I don't believe I've gone to church in about 14 years, but quite soon I'm going.
Willing to bet he's Catholic, or at least grew up Catholic. I don't know that for sure, but I had to put money on it.
I'm going to be going to church for the first time in 14 years. And I'll let you guys know how it goes. I hope it's fine. But my experience...
So far, he has not... There's been no reports that he burned up in flames as soon as he walked in, so we're fine.
With religion, since I was a kid, I grew up in a Christian household. I was raised by a single mother. I had 2 brothers and a sister. It was a very dysfunctional household. It was a very abusive household. It wasn't a very fun place to live in. Obviously, my parent was very hardcore Christian, and my grandparents were very hardcore Christians, and everyone around me was very hardcore Christian. And
I was trying to process what he meant when he said both lived in a Christian household and abusive household. But it's probably, I tell people all the time that I grew up with when I was young, I had a drug problem. My parents drugged me to church. I mean, now I love going to church. I obviously do ministry stuff all the time. But like that, I could understand being like, that makes sense from the abusive family level. That would logically make sense.
Well, they weren't really that nice to me. I mean, I'll just be real. They weren't really that nice. And I'm like, well, these people all suck and they're mean and they tell me to believe in God, but they're really mean to me and they tell me mean stuff. I remember I went to the church in like maybe 2nd, 1st, 3rd grade, and maybe somebody told the Pope to say this to me.
Catholic. I called it. Yeah, it makes sense.
But I remember, or whatever.
The reason it makes sense, let me go back. The reason it makes sense is because there's like, there's the reason there's so many people that like are raised Catholic and then leave it when they're no longer a child is because there's not really a whole lot of reason to follow it, because it's probably the biggest it's the biggest church following that is the most religious, I would say. So like if you don't do like I wouldn't even say day to day, but like weekly ongoing things, all of the religious events and whatnot, if that's not really your thing, then like you're going to fall off pretty quickly. And I think that's pretty common for like most children specifically, which is why I could make a pretty valid guess that because like you could go to like an Assemblies of God church or a Baptist church or like a whole bunch of other churches, denominations of churches. And as a child, you're plugged into that church more than just the religious activities of like mass and taking communion and like all of these other things that are just kind of the mundane things that you feel like you have to do. That's why I could understand, or I could at least make a inference that was what it was.
The pastor, sorry, I don't know. I'm new to this whole thing. I'm new, pardon me. And the pastor told me that, I was a little kid. I played tons of video games. And he told me that Pokemon was the devil.
That's crazy, bro. That's insane. People still say that today. That's insane. You just, for one, let me hear what he has to say.
And that I would go to hell if I played Pokemon. And my grandma told me that Tetris is the devil. And I'm going to go to hell if I play Tetris. It reminds me of that Waterboy movie with Adam Sandler, where it's like, girls are the devil. You're going to go to hell if you talk to any of those women.
Couple things. One, comparing Pokemon and Tetris together is kind of crazy. Let's just start with that. I know. That's insane. For two, saying that it is the devil is like way downplaying what the devil is. So if you are a pope or a pastor or a Christian in general at all, you should have more not appreciation but respect for who the devil is, because saying that the devil is Pokemon is crazy. Bro's you got little hamsters and squirrels and all kind of other woodland creatures that they turn into Pokemon creatures that are running around battling each other, and saying that that's the devil, like evil incarnate, is what you're saying. That's crazy. And then saying like Tetris is the equivalency of that because it's a video game that takes your time away from the Lord is most of the argument for that. I would then say don't do literally anything at all ever with your life if that's your logic, but that's a whole nother conversation. We won't go there.
Which, I mean, to be honest, I think my life would be much easier if I never talked to a woman, but no, well, I mean, maybe I'm being tested right now. Regardless. Yeah, so I kind of was just silently would just nod, and I would
the Pokemon one is crazy true.
I would sit at at the table eating, and I would pray to the Lord and all that stuff. Meanwhile, being surrounded by these people who were mean to me, who kept on telling me to believe in Jesus and be good to thy neighbor, but they weren't good to me. And I was like, well, why would I want to do any of this? This is kind of gay. And so,
valid.
Eventually, I was taken custody by my father in around 4th grade, but he was never really around. So I just played video.
I grew up with people that weren't allowed to watch Pokemon because stuff like that. Yeah, and I get it. Like, I get parents being like strict Christian parents to a degree. Like, guarding a young child from understanding that evil things are bad. So like a Christian parent not letting their child watch horror movies because it gives a depiction of what evil is one thing. Like, I can get that when we're talking about filtering content for children in like from a Christian standpoint. But when we're talking about how Pokemon is the devil, that's crazy. Like, that's insane. Like the whole calls them pocket demons. That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, that's also, like you said, that's a whole nother conversation, because now we're downplaying what demons are too, and that's crazy. That's actually insane, because I think if they were going to do anything, like the devil, Satan himself, is going to do anything that is destructive to humans, to tear them away from God, you'd probably think he'd like start not with a video game or animated TV show. Because that one I feel like is a little too easy to debunk. But that's a whole nother conversation. Also, this is a side note. Why is everyone saying everything is pagan? Do people even know what pagan is? Pagan? Do we even know what that is? Because everyone is like, birthdays are pagan. What? Christmas is pagan. Halloween is pagan. I really don't get the Halloween one. You argue with me all you want. I cannot get behind the statement that Halloween is pagan, but that's a whole nother conversation. Again, whatever. To me, it falls under the same category. We're giving way too much credit to like way too many things. Stop it. Stop it.
Games all day, and you know, everybody who I met online in World of Warcraft was a Satanist. And very religious, and they also told me religion was gay. And so I had this guy called Julian, who was one of my
Sorry, had to. Anyways,
best friends, and he was like a Wiccan, I think, and he was like, I was playing Xenoblade. This is like fast forward tons of years later, maybe like 9th, 10th grade probably. I was playing Xenoblade 2 or Xenoblade 1 while I was talking to him. And he's like, I am a Wiccan, and I want to invite you to my tribe, John. And I'm like, I got no idea what the you're talking about, but you're kind of scaring me right now. Religion was just really weird to me. You know, I went to a Lutheran school in 8th grade as well.
Oh my goodness, this dude had all kind of crazy teaching. Bro, what? That's wild. That's crazy. There is no telling what this dude was taught, shown, explained. Lutheran is crazy. That's wild.
I was like, oh man, this is boring as shit.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No kidding.
Fast forward to like 10th or 11th grade, I have this guy who's my brother. His name is Mike. He's a man. One of the greatest people on this earth.
I'm assuming he means like symbolic brother, not like actual brother, because explaining or introducing your brother as this guy is just kind of funny to me. Anyways.
And he was telling me about this thing called dimethyltryptamine. I don't know if you guys know what dimethyltryptamine is. It's like this plant that apparently you like smoke, and
oh, DMT. Never mind. That makes sense. Anyways, continue.
This was like back in like 2010, 2011s. And apparently there was like this one thing where you like pass out, you meet these 3 guys, and they kind of look at your body and they tell you, they like take you around like the world, and they break down things algebraically and mathematically, and they say, we were expecting you, but you came earlier than we anticipated. And it was like leading people to believe that this was like kind of the gateway to like heaven and all that shit. And anyways, I started writing like an article trying to, and this is so gay, I was trying to like debunk the existence of God when I was like 15, 16 years old. Because I was like, don't
do drugs. That's what that one comes down to. That one has nothing to do with religion. That one is just don't do drugs.
I know everything. I'm him. No, I'm above all this noise. I get it. These other they don't get it. But the problem was that when I was trying to debunk God, every time I ever looked into it, I would find more reasons to believe than to not believe. And so for
You
me,
don't say.
I was always like, damn, all right, well, I don't want to be Christian because I knew Christians. Christians were mean to me. I'll be agnostic. And I've done a lot of research.
I think, unless he's going to correct himself in a minute, I may be pausing this and making this statement too early. I think he has a misunderstanding on terminologies and definitions of titles that he's giving people. I'll get to it in a minute, but if he's saying that he believes in a God that would not be agnostic, and if he's saying that he agrees with what Christians believe but doesn't fall into the category of Christians because Christians treat him bad, he would be the Christian. The other people saying they were Christians were actually not being Christians. That'd be like me saying like talking with a Jamaican accent saying I'm Jamaican. That don't make me Jamaican. White dude from South Alabama. It is what it is.
I've done a lot of research, and I would like to say that since it's kind of hard to put all this into words, I always believed since then, since like 16 to 18, that there is a God, that there is an afterlife, that is your placement is subject to your morality on whether you were a good or a bad person when you were alive on this world. There were some things that the Bible said that I agreed with. There were some things that the Bible said that I didn't agree with.
I would love to have a further conversation with him and see what he means when he says stuff like that. Because now when he's talking about specifically morality. When you're talking about placing things like deciding where you go in the afterlife based on your morality, okay, what is your standard of morality? Because in my eyes, the only standard that we could have for morality is by the one that created us, being God. And if the God of the Bible says something that is good or something is bad, that is morality. I think that's the only consistent argument we could have. Because I think morality has to be an absolute. But for something to be an absolute, we have to have a standard by which it goes by. So if you agree that there is a God, then your morality has to be fully of following by what that God says. And if you believe it is the God of the Bible, then that is your moral standard. Does that make sense? Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
But I'm so ignorant on what the Bible has actually said, and I don't know if I was fed misinformation.
Oh, facts. I guarantee you were. A Lutheran and a Catholic? Yeah, bro. I don't even know that they use the same Bible, if I'm being 100% honest.
That I'm not really sure if I even need to bring that up anymore, because I realize
facts.
A lot of people just lie about a lot of things. I'm currently looking.
This dude's smart, bro. I know you got brain rot, Tectone, but you're smart.
Into the Crusades on whether or not they were actually as horrific as they said. I actually have a documentary pulled up. I've actually, for the past 15 days, I've been on break. I've stopped watching anime. I've stopped listening to music, and I just play informative educational videos, multiple videos on the same subject to get like multiple people weighing in on it and trying to figure out what I believe from all the information that's presented. I've also been kind of just really meditating and realizing what I want to do, what I want to be, and what I want my life to look like when I finish my journey as a content creator, which I'll never be able to retire, guys. I tried. I stayed off Twitter for like 5 days, but I love Twitter so much. It's so bad. It's like I love it and I hate it. It's like PvP. It's so bad.
He does have a good point. Twitter is cancer. Straight up. What's good, Josh?
Anyways, sorry, my head's kind of all over the place, but I always had my own specific belief system that there is a God, that there is a afterlife, and maybe that was out of fear. I don't really enjoy the concept of death too much.
Valid.
Or at least I didn't. But now I think I've come to terms with it. If it happens, it happens. And I hope, that I've done enough good to be granted a more comfortable position in the afterlife than a, uncomfortable position.
I wonder where his teaching happened that gave him that thought process. Because I don't think it's Lutheran. I don't think it's Catholic either. It might actually be Lutheran. I don't know. It could just be too much anime or Twitter, brother, quite honestly.
That leads me unto now, where maybe about 2-3 weeks ago, I still felt the same. Still believed in a higher power and the existence of heaven and hell. But I actually started reading the Bible lately.
Solid.
I think I'm okay with saying this. There was a YouTuber by the name of Tactical Templar that kind of made Jesus seem pretty cool, as well as...
Bro, if you think that Jesus, or just the Bible in general, but specifically Jesus, was boring, you didn't read the Bible. That dude was cold. Cold. An actual... Where Jesus grew up was like as hood can be. Which is like part of the reason people don't take that into account. It's part of the reason it's so amazing that he turned out the way he did, obviously because he's Jesus. But like where he grew up was so bad that it was just a bunch of bad people that came out of there. It was bad. It was like, bro, it was like Detroit. Anyways, sorry.
As Nux Taku that made Jesus seem pretty cool, as well as Charlie Kirk being so comfortable with death and all he wanted to be remembered for was his faith, that I actually started reading the Bible, and I actually like it. It's been pretty cool.
See?
I believe what I read was Genesis 37 through 50, which I believe was the story of Joseph.
Oh, yeah.
Some great passages like Galatians 4:16, which can be summarized by, "So we're enemies now that I've told you the truth," as well as I really enjoyed hearing the story of Job.
Okay, pause. Story of Joseph, like, great place if you just want some, like, perspective of the Bible. Like, not Jesus, but just how the Bible as a whole. Great for, like, story reading of, like, actual past events of what God has done in the past. Going to Galatians is hard. I mean, I wouldn't start there. I mean, don't not read it. I'm not saying that. You took on a task, brother, but like, good. Hey. And then Job gets crazy. Like, Job's just, that's tough. A
great YouTuber summarized as the most unfair story in the Bible ever told.
Facts.
Which has been very entertaining for me. Really trying to give this whole religion thing a shot has been difficult, but I'm trying to enter it with an open heart and an open mind, because I don't know if there's many people like me out there where I've always wanted to truly believe, but it's hard. And you do want to fully commit, but you're still unsure, and you want to be sure, and you want to feel the way that you believe other people, which is so strong in their belief. Because I think it's so beautiful. It is. It's a very, very, very beautiful thing.
I think he's finally understanding that he doesn't realize what he doesn't understand. Like, he for one, he definitely, based off of how he's describing his upbringing, he definitely had a very skewed understanding of Christianity as a whole, and probably just ran with that for a long time. But he probably, what it seems like is now he understands that he doesn't understand and is trying to understand. And what he's understanding is that he doesn't understand, but what he doesn't understand is probably more good than bad. Because, I mean, he had this like really bad running with the people in the church. Granted, if you actually were in a, well, I'll throw the fire. Like I would argue that if you were in a Catholic church, you were not around Christians. I would argue that's not the same religion at this point. And I almost think that there's a lot of Catholics that would agree with that at this point. Because I don't think that the Catholic Church of like AD 25 is the same Catholic Church as AD 2025. I think the Catholic Church of AD 25 was a lot, or whenever it was established. I know it was a little after AD 25, but you get the idea. The Catholic Church was a lot more in line with like modern day Christianity than it was modern day Catholicism. So if you're basing like your interactions with Christians around your interactions with certain subsets of people around specific churches and church types, that's not a fair assessment. But I'm preaching to the choir. I think he understands that. But what's really interesting to me through this whole thing is watching how he is straight up like, because proper deconstruction, deconstruction is when a Christian tries to like basically debunk their own theory about the Bible. Well, proper deconstructionists, like what he's trying to do, basically can't do it if you're doing it in a fair way. A lot of people say that they're deconstructing and they really just mean they don't want to be a Christian anymore. That's not deconstructing. That's you quitting. You're just running away. But like he's trying to like figure this out piece by piece. Again, Galatians is a crazy place to start. Good on you, brother. If you understand it from day one, that's good job. Good job. But as long as you are at the minimum doing what he's doing of like looking at multiple different sources to double check himself. If someone says something that's not in the Bible, don't believe it. Or I wouldn't even say don't believe it. It's irrelevant. If you can't look at it with your eyeballs in the Bible, it's not a relevant statement. So just work with that. You'll be fine. Forget like the other people. The people are annoying. Forget that. Go with the Bible.
But it's difficult. And I've been afraid of fully giving myself to trying this, but I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. And I'm not going to make this a religion channel or anything. I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to give church a shot. And if it's cool, great. If not, okay, well, wasn't for me.
He's not going to publicly announce what church he went to for obvious reasons. The guy is like, I'll say famous. He's on that line. He's famous enough anyways. He's not going to publicly announce what church he goes to. I would love to know what church he's at. I would love to know that information. I'll never get it. I acknowledge that. I would love to know what church he went to.
But I think there's 3 very important principles in life, which are mind, body, and...
Not only that, I know where the area that he's in. I would love to connect him with a specific church. I don't think I ain't got that kind of pull. I'm gonna be honest. Not only that. Look, stuff like people like this are the people that I like want to talk to. Like this is a homie. a dog. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to have a conversation with Tectone. If I ever blow up as a streamer, this is like my new number one goal, is just to have a conversation with Tectone, whether it's about religion or not or whatever. But like, if you're at least genuinely trying, I have like a high level of appreciation for that. So if I blow up and get to that popularity status, meeting Tectone and having a conversation with him would be sick. But like, I know pastors in his area that would just absolutely love to sit down and have coffee with him. Again, that'll unfortunately never get to happen. I would love to sit down and have coffee with him. It'll never get to happen. I understand that, but I do love to see people genuinely chase after answers like he is right now, and I just hope and pray that they end up running into the right people who will give them genuine truth and not just like sugarcoat it to get them to come sit in a pew.
Soul. And since I started reading the Bible again, and I'm not trying to convert anybody to Christianity here. I'm just telling you guys what's going on with me. Since I started reading the Bible again, I feel better.
Yeah.
I do. I feel very good. I feel very motivated. I feel like I have purpose. I was in the gym yesterday.
Who's Jim? Sorry, Amos.
And I'm currently on a severe deficit, and I'm working out incredibly hard. I'm hitting all my macros. And there's been 2 other times where I felt truly touched by God himself. But for a third time, I felt what I believe to be the Lord's presence in the gym. And it was a very unique feeling. And it was very, you know when you play Undertale and it says you feel filled with determination? It kind of felt like that. And I don't know what it is.
That is probably the best explanation I've ever heard for the presence of God. You know what? Valid and based. Good point. It's like getting a buff. And you walk up in a main city and like you walk by a priest and they're just like, here's a free buff. And you're like, what a homie. You're a real one. That's what it feels like. But like better. You know what I'm saying?
It is. Maybe it's placebo, maybe it's not. But I've always been a pretty spiritual guy. I mean, side note, when my grandmother passed, let me give you the whole story. So I was laying in my truck bed in El Paso, well, my friend's truck bed in El Paso, Texas. And I was kind of sad, and I tried praying to God.
You were sad because you were in El Paso, Texas.
For the first time in a long time back then. And my grandma came up to me and asked me, John, what are you doing in the bed? We don't really hang out anymore. Are you doing okay? I love you with my whole heart and I miss you. And then immediately after that, she left. And then I got a call from one of my family members informing me that my grandmother had just passed away in the hospital bed. And it was a very surreal experience. It was, and I'll never forget it. It's so specific in my mind. And it was scary. And I didn't know how to explain it. Maybe my brain's just fucked up. And, you know, I'm schizophrenic, so it probably is.
Base.
But I think the world's a crazy place. And I know for a while, religion was seen as like gay and wow, that's cringe. And I remember how glorified it was to just not believe in anything. And anyways, I just want to say I'm giving this a shot and would like to work on the whole mind, body, and soul. And I'll let you guys know how it goes. I don't know if any of you guys care. But to be honest, I kind of just miss talking to you guys. So I just figured I'd make a quick little...
I miss talking to
you.
you.
Having a wonderful day. Appreciate you guys. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, closing statement right here real quick. He says, he calls it religion, and I understand that. I would argue that the whole point of the Bible, Jesus, and Christianity as a whole is to break away from religion. That's a little bit of a deeper talk. However, if he's going to Galatians, Galatians is like the whole book of Galatians is basically talking about stop being religious when you follow Jesus, because it's not. So I think it's fair for me to make that point. but like for semantics argument's sake, I understand what he means. Following religion, it's an easy way to say what you're talking about. Like, I get it, but my point is, it's not about the mundane religious stuff that he had a problem with when he was a child that made him not want to be a part of it anymore at all. Anyways, and it's more so about like all of the good things that you see in the Bible that you're like, all of this is good, all of this is amazing, this makes me feel great, but Christians are a problem. Well, that's because you're trying to follow religious people and they're a problem, because Jesus was like, stop it, don't do that. I mean, Jesus was around extremely religious people, and I mean, he was a Jew, so the whole religious culture of the Jews he was enveloped in it very deeply. However, Jesus also often was like, even though we're doing this, this isn't what's important. He made an extreme emphasis on what is important, and it was like him and your relationship with God. And that's like 100% of it. It's not complicated. It's really not difficult. So there's not really room for interpretation. That's it. But like, good on Tectone. Good on Tectone. Yeah. I want to meet this guy really bad. I want to talk to him. Not as like a streamer even, or like fan growing out. I would love to hear just have a good conversation about his perspective on things, because he's got a rare perspective on things, which is like a full reset. Very rare. Very rare, but he's doing it the correct way. He's doing a very good job of it.